Hello, I'm BJ from Hearns Hobbies, and today I'll be doing an introductory unboxing. Well, this is a new style of unboxing I'm going to try. I'm going to be looking at this Tamiya 1/72 scale Spitfire kit, and I'm going to go through and explain things and have a look at it for beginners. So, whereas most of my open boxes are for people that are familiar with kits and just want to see what's included, I'm going to go through and introduce you to how a kit works. So let's have a look at it. Now, here we go. We've got nice box art. And this is a bit unusual for Tamiya kits. This is actually a photo of the kit. Traditionally, they'll be using a manually painted box art, but this is from 2000, so it's a 24-year-old kit. And this is back in the days when they just started making aircraft kits again, although this is number 48 in the series. Alright, so what do you get when you get a kit like this? Now, 72nd scale for an aircraft I think is perfect for a beginner because, as you can see, there's not a lot of parts, and it can allow you to concentrate on the basic skills of simple construction and the painting. But even a 24-year-old Tamiya kit, this is a really nice kit, and I thoroughly recommend this for even seasoned builders. There's some clear parts there. So let me do my regular open boxing, and we'll go through all the bits, and then I'll do a bit more explaining as we go into the manual. So let's look at this sprue here first. Okay, here's the largest sprue, which has got the fuselage on it. So we've got the fuselage halves, we've got the base of the, what do you call that bit, of the cowling, and we've got a filter duct, cockpit with all the instrumentation, rear of the cockpit seating. We've got the horizontal stabilizers. You see the rudder is molded in one, so hence why it's been cut off here. We have the top of the wings. And we've got the base of the cockpit with the foot pedals. This I think will be the rear connection point for the propeller, because the propeller probably spins. Then on the other side you'll see the details for the inside of the cockpit. And these are parts where for a 24-year-old kit is really, really clean. Let's get closer in there. Quite remarkable, all this ribbing detail for the internals of the cockpit. So those parts will be visible through the clear canopy. There's the other side. And here we go. This is the base of the canopy with the foot pedals for the pilot. And as you can see, as I move it around with the reflections, you can see how fine the details are with the panel lining and also the rivet detail. And then on the fuselage as well. You can see on the wing root there as well, very nice. So even for a small kit, absolutely beautiful. So simple in construction. You even see the ribbing detail coming through the fabric on the elevators. And then we have the wing detail here, so top of the wing. And again on the ailerons, you've got that fabric detail. Okay, you got your wheels. And undercarriage doors. Okay, so let's have a closer look at the other sprue. So this one is the base of the wings. Propeller, antenna mast, engine exhaust, the spinner for the prop, and the spinner back, and you see how there's a shaft, so that shaft will go through the nose section, and that'll allow the propeller to spin. Now if we have a closer look, let's look at these fine details here too. So they're quite exquisite. Such a small kit with such nice detail. So here we go, we've got the filter there, and we've got the cowling that'll go over the top of that later. The propeller, 3-bladed, all molded in one, so you don't have to worry about alignment. Some really tiny details there. There's an antenna mast. All right, so apart from that, we have some clear parts. Now the clear parts, you've got some options. Now the clear parts are molded because, with so many, because they do have different versions of the Spitfire. There's the Mark 5 as well. So this version, you'll be either using this one or this canopy, and then you'll be using one of the windscreens. So there will be spares that you won't be using. Okay, and with that we have these, which are known as polycaps. So the polycaps will be the part that's actually going onto the propeller to allow it to spin later. Okay, so those are all your plastic parts. Now what else we have are the decals. Now the decals are the markings for the insignia, and you've got the country roundels and other insignia there as well. And these are what we call water slide decals. Now water slide decals are simply because when you apply the decal, so you'll be cutting out, say this roundel, you cut it out from the whole card there, you pop it into some lukewarm water, and as the water is absorbed into the backing paper, it will release the printed film, which is very thin, and that you slide onto the surface, and then when that dries, it will appear to be a painted surface because it's so thin. And that's why water slide decals are so common in plastic kits, because they give such a fine finish. So being so thin, it looks like they're painted on, and they don't obscure any details. All right, and from there, we will have the manual. So I guess this is where I'll do most of my explanation. Now, if this is the first time you've ever built a kit, this is the first thing that you study. So I always recommend that you read the manual a couple of times so you're very familiar with how the kit goes together. So we have some history on the actual Spitfire right here, and that's in different languages. Then as we open that up, we come to this page which describes the recommended tools. So you need some glue, side cutters, sharp knife and some tweezers. We have a legend here of all the different paints. The codes are all Tamiya numbers, so it's very easy to get the paint that you need and follow it as you go through the instructions. Now AS9, that's a spray can, but since they made this kit in 2000, they actually have a pre-mixed bottle of the paint as well. And for a beginner, I would suggest it's easier to brush paint than to spray paint. So if we're getting this now, I will give you the equivalent for this AS9, which is the RAF dark green. And then there's an orange, so a gloss orange, a gloss red, a chrome silver, gold, metallic blue, there's a semi-gloss black, flat yellow, flat green, sky, which will be part of the camouflage, that'll be the base of the aircraft. The XF52, which is a flat earth. So the flat earth will be mixed with a red-brown to create the RAF red-brown. There's metallic grey, olive green, and a field grey. So depending on how authentic you want the kit you're building, if you want it absolutely per the instructions, then you'll need to get each one of those colours to get the proper look, I guess. If you want to do it like simply, and you just want to concentrate on the camouflage, then we'll just get the camouflage colours and probably a base colour for the cockpit. So I'll explain that as we go. All right, so let's do the basic study of the manual. So your first step is the fuselage. So fuselage is basically two halves. Painting of the interior, because with the interior of the cockpit, if you don't paint it now, it's very difficult to get to once it's been glued together. So paint it all up here. So both sides, there are the oxygen tanks as well, which need to be glued in. And also the propeller fixing mechanism. So there's the polycap I showed you before, those little rubber caps, and then that axle section. Right here, it gives you a cross section of how it's meant to sit. So just make sure it sits correctly as per the diagram. And then the two fuselage halves are glued together with the horizontal stabilizers. Now let's get in a bit tighter. Okay, let's do a little bit of study. Okay, so you see this R in the brackets? That's basically showing the right side. So you have your right side, and over here, that's the left side. Where you have these codes here, like A12, that means it's part number A12. So you find that on sprue A, and sprue A will be, like we'll show you here. So there's the fuselage halves, and that is sprue A. And you see that all the parts are numbered. And there's your number 12 and 13. So that's A12 and 13. So hence A12. And where's A13? A13 is right there. So same goes again with your oxygen tanks, so A19. So that's going to be on the same sprue. So if we look around, we'll find there is A19. So that's basically how you find where all your parts are. Okay, apart from that, we have the color numbers. Okay, so you've got this little hex, and it's going to an X number. So what that is pointing at is, you see that darker shaded area? Just that little block there is a part which is meant to be X18. And X18 is semi-gloss black. The lighter shaded parts here correspond to this color here. And this color is built up by mixing 3 different colors. Now what you need here is, because it's going to be an interior green, so it's XF5, which is flat green, 1 part, mixed with XF21, which is sky color, 3 parts, mixed with XF65, which is field grey, 1 part. So the best way of doing this is you have a small dish. Either use a ceramic dish, some people use that, or you can buy specific little pallets, or even say, you know, a scrap bit of plastic, like a takeaway container lid or something like that. And the easiest way is just to open up your paint, mix it up, always stir up your paint because the pigment sinks to the bottom. And with your paintbrush, just pull it out and do 1 dab of XF5, clean off your brush, and then go into XF21, make sure that's mixed up. 3 dabs of XF21, clean that off, mix up the XF65, and then just 1 dab of XF65. And then mix it all together, and that is your mixed color for the interior green. Now, if you don't want to go through the rigmarole of doing this, then just paint it a green that you're happy with. But if you want to look authentic, then just mix it up like this. So basically you've got the colon in there, and you have the 1, the 3, and the 1. So they're the ratios. So it's 1 part XF5, 3 parts XF21, 1 part XF65. And that's your mixing ratio. And that's what you'll find in a lot of Tamiya manuals. Now you see it again, it's right here. And that's actually the same mix, because on the interior of these aircraft, they had the same green primer. So when you mix up that, make sure you have enough to paint this one as well. And hence why I suggest you read through the manual, just so you're familiar with it, so that you don't just concentrate on this part, you realize that that color is also used here. And once you do that, you'll realize that it's not only used there, but it's also used in the cockpit. So study the manual and get all your steps ready. Okay, so that's basically how you read the symbols. Now over here, there's another symbol. So this particular symbol is the water slide decal symbol. You can see how it's got a shadow, so it indicates the dark part is like your decal sliding off. Okay, and this is the number of the decal to put on. Now the decal is, where is it? It should show us here, which is this one here, number 5. So basically you need decal number 5, which would be the seat belts. And that's applied on here. And the decals are always applied over the painted surface. So do all the painting first. And then with the parts, it's up to you to decide how in order you're going to put them together. Whether you're going to paint them first, or you're going to glue it together and then paint it afterwards. So certainly there's going to be some areas which are easily glued together before you paint it all together. So you could glue together the rear bulkhead and the front instrument panel and bulkhead together, and then paint everything that interior green. Because as you can see, all these parts are still using that initial interior green that we mixed up in the first step. Or you can choose to paint each one individually and then glue it together after it's fully painted. That's up to you. And then again, you see the X18. So X18 is pointing to those shaded parts. So that's semi-gloss black. That'll be just around this handle. And then also, that'll be just on the seat cushion at the back there. Same with this one here. So the headrest cushion, that's X18 as well as the back section there. And again, you can see these are the part codes. So A22, A14, so they're all off the same sprue of A. And then these are the same, and then the Bs, they're coming off the B sprue, which is the separate one here. So we've got B5 and B7. Okay, so we've got, there's your B5 right there, and your B7 right there. Okay, as we move across, we have the fitting of the cockpit module. So it just drops inside the fuselage. But before we get to that, there's actually the instructions on how to paint the instrument panel. So X11 for the head-up display. So that's the chrome silver. And then this is that mixed interior green, which we already had for most of the interior. So you paint that all over here first, and then you can single out all the other parts. So the order I would go would be the green, and then we'll do the black parts. Okay, so some of the central instrument panels there. That lower part, which I think is the compass, and then the holder for the head-up display. So that's all black, and then we're going to do the silver over the top of that. Okay, then we go on to step 3. And step 3 is where we have options. So you can see the two canopies. And this is where you choose to either go with C4 or C3. So C4 is the blown canopy. It's got the rounded section across the top. And C3 is the straight canopy. So that's there across there. So it's up to you which one you want to choose. So it's a bit of a personal choice there. The windscreen itself, and there's the armoured section there, that's C2. So for the Spitfire Mk1, there's only that one option. So you're going to have a spare windscreen you're not going to use. We have our exhausts. So they're painted XF56, which is metallic grey. And then we have our mast there for the antenna. So it just gets mounted there. Now, one of these tricky parts here is where it says X12 and it's pointing towards a frame. So you notice that the frame, every part of that frame is shaded. Okay, and it's probably meaning here as well. So X12, and it says inside, that's where you actually paint the gold, so X12 is gold, on the inside of that framework. And what you'll do later is you'll be painting the camouflage colour on the outside of that framework, which I will tell you about later. So where you see this X12 and it's pointing and the inside, that means the inside of the frame. Okay, let's move on to the next bit. I'll keep that all zoomed in. All right, so we're doing our main landing gear. Again, we'll go right and a left. So make sure you don't mix up the parts. So we've got A1. So you notice that A1 and A1 is the same. So it doesn't matter if they get mixed up. But with these components, such as the struts, you want to make sure you get the correct one attached to the correct strut. So this particular wheel pant there, so that's A6, needs to be glued onto A9, and this A7 needs to be connected onto A8. Now, as you paint these, you'll see XF21, that's a sky color, that's for the wheel. So you may just notice that line touches the wheel, and then the tire itself is XF1. As we go into the landing gear strut, just that section on the bottom, that's the hydraulic section. So that is painted chrome silver. And the rest of these parts is painted XF21. So the majority of the strut is going to be that sky color, and also the insides of that undercarriage cover. Over here, we've got the choices of A or B. Okay, so if you're doing the B version, the wheel is actually painted flat black, which is XF1. But if not, you're doing A version, then it's painted XF21, the same as this side. Now that's because on the B version, or option of this aircraft, one half of the bottom of the wing is painted black. So just pay attention to that, so whether you're doing the A version or the B version. Okay, when it comes up to section 5, we're building the wing. Okay, so we have the bottom of the wing, and then you have each side glued on. So we've got B9, B11, and B10. And you've got these locating points here to help you make sure you've got each part in the right position. And when it comes to painting, they're showing you detail painting. So they're not talking about painting the whole surface yet. That's something you need to decide later when we go to the end parts of the manual. But they're showing the detail marks here of the navigation lights. So that's just the very tip of that pointy bit. So that's X7, so that's red. And then when you come to this side, this light is silver. So it doesn't necessarily mean you need to paint it at this point. But if you do, then that's where they need to be painted. Or if you're going to paint them last, which is generally my choice, then we need to come back to step 5. All right, what do we have now? We have step 6, which is up here. Now let's expand that out so you can see this page. All right, so this is dealing with all the things that are on the bottom of the wing, the undercarriage and such, and then the mating of the wing, and then the propeller. So we're very close to the end here. Let's get back in tight. All right, so section 6, attaching the landing gear. Okay, so as we go through here, again, we've got the R. So pay attention to where you built that in the previous step. So right, you got your left strut. And then we have the cooler cover. So there's I think that's an oil cooler. There's a cover that glues on top. Now this is indicating the paint. So X18, so that'll be either side of that filter is a different color. So X18 for the front, which is black, and then at the back it's X11, which is silver. Got another sort of intake there. Got another navigation light lens, so that'll be X11. And then we've got a pilot tube, which is X11. Now with these really fine bits, it makes sense to show them with this angle in the instruction manual, to glue them on at this stage. But anything that's really small like these, and even the aerial mast, I'll tend to glue those on at the end because they're quite easy to accidentally knock off. So next part we go to attaching the wings. Okay, so that's step 7. Now step 7 is just simply mating the wings that you made in step 6 onto the fuselage, which was put together in step 1 and 2. And once they're together, because we've got a different angle here, so you see the gun points here, so they're painted XF56, which is metallic grey, which looks like a gun metal. And again on this side as well. Now here we get into some detailed painting of the propeller. And again, we have the mixing ratios. Okay, so the majority of the propeller is black. So XF1 is flat black. So you paint up the propeller all in flat black. And then the tips are usually a dull yellow. And to achieve that, they're asking you to mix X6, which is orange, 1 part, with XF3, which is yellow by 10 parts. So it's a richer yellow that they're asking you to paint. But I mean, if you don't want to mix it all like this, then just use the regular yellow, I'd say, to keep it simple. Now the rear of the spinner and the front of the spinner, again, we have the options here. So if you're doing A version, you paint it black. If you're painting it B version, then that's painted XF21, which is sky color. Same with the back section there. Okay, when we move on to section 8, attaching the propeller. Now attaching the propeller, we're gluing on the base of the cowling, which is A15, and then the propeller just slides straight into there and it gets locked into place with the polycap that was glued in there at the very beginning. And that's what's going to allow that propeller to spin around. Now over here, they've got a little note, just to let you know that parts C1 and C5 are not used. And C would be the clear parts. All right, so we've done all that. Now we have the back section. And what they're showing you here is the versions. So there's A version, and then there's B version. And they have different decals. The decals, like the roundel sizes are different. The camouflage is basically the same, except B version has half of a wing, which is painted flat black. And hence the spinner is different on each one of these. So this is why I recommend reading through the manual a couple of times, just so you can choose exactly what you want to do, and then it helps you with the construction of the painting as you're going along, as you're building. So as we're getting tighter, let's have a look at how we read the manual from this point. Okay, just say we're doing option A. Okay, so option A is using these decals. So the numbers in the circle is the decal number. And when you look at decals, now let's have a look at this one. This is actually still behind the protective tissue. I don't want to take it out because you don't want to damage these with fingerprints. You might be able to just see there's a number 1 there. So that's number 1 decal, and that refers to this decal, the QJ there. Now if we're looking at number 8 would be this one right here. That's number 8, and that's these roundels there, the blue and red, which is here. And that's how you find what you need here. So that's decal number 22. So that's that really fine caution stenciling there. And also in the marking manual, it gives you the colors that are for the overall camouflage. So to get this particular brown, it's XF52, 1 part, mixed with XF64, 1 part. So from memory, 52 is earth color, and XF64 is a red-brown. So that would be a muted red-brown to paint here. And then this part here, the green, which they're recommending AS9, which is a spray can I mentioned earlier. So rather than the spray can, you can mix the XF58 1 part, which is the olive green, with XF62 5 parts, or there is a new RAF dark green number. And not too sure where that is, but we'll find out and I'll have that in the comments. So all you have to do is map out, they're giving you an idea of how to do the camouflage pattern there. So you just need to sort of copy that with where all these lines intersect, the panel lines. And the easiest way is to brush paint that. All right, and as we go here, you'll see more markings on the sides. Okay, so number 3 decal there, number 19 decal there. And you will see that they do give you the drawings of the antenna wire there, which isn't included. And they're not included because it's just so fine. So it's up to you whether or not you want to fit that or not. As a bare beginner, I'll suggest you leave that off. But if you're going into intermediate and advanced stages, you can make that with some really fine either wire or line, such as a fine string. And you can see those across here as well. So that's up to you if you want to put those on. As a beginner, I would suggest not to. Then as we go around, you can see more decal numbers on the base, and then the color recommendation for the bottom, which is XF21, which is sky color. So that's going through how to read the manual. And you'll see here's the major difference here. So this section of the wing, which is a different color, that is painted XF1, which is flat black. Okay, so that is my open box review for beginners. For anyone starting off building a model, and you're starting off building an aircraft like this. So if you like this sort of series or this sort of unboxing, just let me know, because I can do all of the different genres as well. So where it's tanks, cars, ships, other planes, I can quite easily speak and describe in that method too. But I think what I've described here helps you with pretty much any Tamiya kit, how to read the manual, how you go about looking up all the colors, and I hope it's been helpful. So if you like this video, please give me a like below. If you've got any questions, please put them in the comments. And if you like to see more content like this, please think about subscribing. So thank you very much for joining me.